Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mike's Garage. Well, I want to tell you about something that just happened here within the last 6 weeks. Okay, it's been cold out, and the guy he doesn't live right up the street. He lives in another neighborhood. He was going to put in a shed. He wants to put in a shed. He wants to put some power tools out in the shed. So he wants to have electric. He wants to have a nice, like a workshop separate from the house because he likes to do woodworking and it's making too much dust in the house, too much sawdust around. So the wife said, "You got to get out." So he figures, well, there's a door in the back of his garage. At one end of the garage is the garage doors, and in the back of his garage there's a door, a man door you walk through. It goes out into a walkway and a small side property there, and you walk around the side of the house that way. So he figures, well, I'm going to go right out through the garage door here, and there's already a walkway out there. I'm just going to extend that into a patio area, and I'm going to just put the shed right on the patio. So he gets another friend of his, and they come over and they draw it out, and they dig up the sod, and they do it right. They put down the stone, they put down the sand, they loosely put down the block, okay, and tamp it down really good because they're going to put a shed on there. So he says, well, you know what? I need to have electric out there. So I'm going to call an electrician. So he calls an electrician. The guy comes out. He says, yeah, he says, we got to, I can do that. He said, we just can't run a wire across the sidewalk here. You got to have a permit to run electric out into your yard. So he says, oh, I do? He says, yeah. He says, you got to get a permit. He said, and see what the right way to do it is, so we do it the right way. So the guy calls up the city, and they get the electrical inspector to come out. And he said, yeah, what are you going to do? He said, I want to do this, that, and everything, and I'm going to bring in the electric on this side of the shed. He says, well, you can't just run the wire out here. This has to have conduit buried 18 inches underground. And if it goes over to that end, you have to have a tower come up, and that has to go into the building at least 2 to 3 feet off the ground. It has to go into a panel on the inside. He says, that seems like an awful lot to do for a little, workshop. And they said, well, that's what the required is for the township. That's what you have to do. So, okay, they just put the patio in. So he gets his friend. They take up all the block, and he hires a trenching company to come out. I forget what it cost him. And he had to trench 18 inches deep from the house, punch a hole in the foundation, 18 inches deep out, and put the conduit up. After he had the trench done, the electrician came out, ran the conduit, fished all the wires through. Now they had to put all the dirt back, tamp it down, put the gravel back, tamp it down, put the sand down, tamp it all down, and put all the block back and get it level. Because you had to have it level because the workshop's going to be on there. So, okay, they get that done. And the workshop, they get it. It comes in a kit. All right? So you get the boards are all numbered. They're all color-coded. You build the floor. And you build the walls, then you put the siding on, then you put the roof on, and I think it was cedar shingles for the roof. So if you ever did cedar shingles for the roof, it is a pain in the neck. It takes you a long time to do it because each foot long, 6-inch wide shingle has to be put down individually, and you usually have to put 2 nails in it so it can't shift. So anyway, they get it done. Takes them 3-4 days, a little bit longer than a weekend, to build the shed. So electrician comes back and he says, we're going to punch a hole in it, and we're going to have a panel on the inside. We're going to put 4 or 5 electrical outlets. Do you want a circuit breaker out there? Yeah, put a circuit breaker in. Okay. So he's got a little panel with a circuit breaker and does all that. Gets it all done. He decides he's going to call the township, get the building inspector out there to give him a thumbs up, that everything's okay, and that's what he's going to do. It's all done. So he calls the building inspector, and the building inspector comes out, And he takes them through the garage, and he opens the door, and they walk out, and there's the shed. And the building inspector looks around. He says, "This can't stay here." He says, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, the ordinance says you have to be 5 feet from the property line. Is that fence behind the shed the property line?" He says, "Yeah." He said, "Well, it's only 18 inches from the property line. It has to be 5 feet." He says, "And it's only 4 feet from the house. So even if you get the shed and slide it this way and put it up against the house, it still can't stay in this side yard, because the side of the house is only about 9 feet from the property line." And he says, "Well, I just built it. It's brand new." He says, and we put it together with an air gun. It's not like it's screwed together. We just undo the screws and move it." He says, "I'm sorry." He says, "You can't okay this permit. It doesn't meet the requirements. You can apply for a variance. I forget how much it costs for you to apply for the variance, and then the guy has to go to a hearing to see if they're willing to grant you the exception. They'll probably ask some of the neighbors if they object to you leaving it there, and we'll go from there." So he had to have the permit issued. No, not the permit. He had to have the variance, the request for a variance issued by today, which he did that. Okay, so the story's not over. He spent a lot of money with this shed, and I don't know if they're going to let him keep it there or not, or what happens if you just say, "Well, I'm not moving it." I don't know what happens, so we'll see. But I'll let you know what happens. He applied for the variance permit today, and he should hear back in a week or two after they bring it up at one of the township meetings to see if he's in compliance, or they'll give him an exception code or an exception to let it stay where it is. So I'll let you know about it. Awful lot of money. I guess the lesson you learn here is do your homework. Don't trust the contractors, if you hire any, to steer you in the right direction. The first thing you have to do is go to your local HOA or your local township to get the building inspector out there, not the electrical inspector, the building inspector out there to see what you're allowed to do on your property and stay within the township guidelines. So that's a lesson to learn. I hope you appreciated the story, so be careful what you do. And thank you for watching Mike's Garage. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time, and do something nice for a stranger. Bye, everybody.
Hey, you two in the middle are backwards. Knowing that's your cutoff, and Landon, that's your bag. That might be a little deep. Campbell, you're firing. All right, Sam, be ready. Get close. Come on, hit one hard. Get down, Jagger. You're good, you're good. Good job, Jagger. Nice slide. Landon. Harry. That's a good job back up, but you're too close. No throwing dirt. Hey, once he misses that ball, you can't see it. Back up. Okay? Campbell, you're firing three now. Jagger, you're three. We're out, okay? You don't have to go. In front of you. Jagger, nice job. Owen, back up, please. All right, Sam, be ready. Nice plays in one. Throw dirt up. All right. Go, come on. Come on. Get here, Sam. Hustle. There you go, Sam. Hold the bases.